Sunday. I get a lot of questions about a topic that you really can't answer for somebody. Which motor setup is best? Is it an inline, which is the typical kind of motor setup in a lot of cars? Is it a Sidewinder, which is common in, well, it's pretty common. Or an angle winder. Angle winder is, you know, it's definitely a great setup to use. Basically, it comes down to what you like, but you also have to figure out what's fast on your track or your club's track. But you need to figure out, you know, more importantly, what's best for the way you drive. Now, obviously, there are going to be, you know, motor setups and motors that are going to be faster than others. But if you're driving an older SCX motor at 90% the entire way around the track, which is something I was talking to Ray about this morning. And, well, so if you're driving a car almost full speed around the track and it's a really easy car for you to control, that's a really fast car for you. But it may be, you know, not the fastest in the world, but if that's what you enjoy, you know, if you don't care about winning, which you really shouldn't care about winning, in my opinion. For me, it's just about having fun with friends. You know, then it doesn't really matter. It's about having a drivable car. I don't have a lot of luck with angle winders. Can you see these okay? Yeah, these are old, or not old. These are slotted HRS chassis. These were sent to me by Hornby, who's the U.S. distributor. These are, you know, really great way to start in tuning and to get a sense of not only like a kind of the tuning ecosystem for slotted, but also too to get a sense of what works best for you, what works best for your type of driving style, what you can tune best. I mean, I personally love inlines. I do like sidewinders. Angle winders are okay. I really don't like high power motors, long cam motors like the Boxer. They're great motors. I just, you know, you've all heard me say it a million times. I just can't drive high power motors. I can't drive fast motors. It's a struggle for me. It's really hard keeping your attention, keeping your focus on the car, getting it around the track perfectly every time. For me anyway, it's just not as forgiving as driving something like a Sidewinder or an inline, regardless of the motor. I tend to drive the Mabuchi FC130 motors, which is the kind of the standard motor for slotted. Can you see that? Yeah, there we go. Changed some lights around in here, so forgive me if the light's a little different. So basically, you know, this is all a process, like I've said before. And, you know, one of the things you have to learn is what you like to tune, what you're comfortable tuning. You know, someone at your club or folks online can be a big help with that, with figuring out, you know, kind of maybe the better road to go down for you. I always would encourage people to kind of start slowly and not necessarily buy more stuff, but to learn what you have, make the most of the cars that you have, really learn how to tune them and get, you know, a basic car that you have go really fast. It's not that hard to do when you really, you know, get involved with certain cars. You learn kind of what's fast for that car, but also too, if you then take that car on the track, you can see if it made it faster, if it made it more drivable for you. That really, for me, is the key. Is, you know, ultimately it's drivability. If you have a fast car, but you can't drive it really fast, it's not a fast car. Something also to think about, and Harry sent me this a little while ago. This is really cool, and I wanted to bring it out here and show you all. I mean, y'all really can't see it very well, but it's a mat with lots of gear ratios on it. So the gear ratios that it shows, I mean, it's basically anything from, it shows you from 23 tooth to 39 tooth. Now that's on the crown or the spur. So the crown or the spur, again, this is for the new guys, not the hardcore guys. This is the crown or the spur. It's not the motor. The gear on the motor is called the pinion, and that's represented. I know you can't see this, but on this side of the chart, it's generally speaking, pinion gears go from 8 to about 15 teeth. Now at the higher end, those are sidewinder teeth. But like an 8 or a 9 tooth pinion is really pretty much the standard, like on Scalextric and on Carrera and on SCX. Well, if anybody out there has SCX stuff, they pretty much all use inline. It's a 9 tooth pinion. If you want to get a little more speed and a little more smoothness out of a car, I've personally found that if you change to a 10 tooth pinion, it usually will smooth out a car nicely. Now you'll lose low end, some low end grunt, some low end initial kind of snap out of the car because you're gearing it higher, but you're going to get the car to have more speed down the straightaway. And I've found also too that a lot of 10 tooth pinions for inline again tend to be machined in a certain way that what's it called, the gear lash sort of the way that the gears mesh together feels a little better on the smaller teeth of a higher tooth pinion. So like a 9 tooth pinion for me never really feels good personally. This is all personal stuff. So I tend to change to a 10 tooth pinion kind of just because. Again, to get that drivability, because that's, you know, I've said it a million times. That's really what it's all about, is getting something that you can drive fast, that you're comfortable driving, that you enjoy driving. Also on this handy chart that Harry did, and I'll see where this is. It's an image, so it should be downloadable, or it should be something that I can maybe drop in here, or certainly link to, where it talks about the gear ratio. Now, the lower the gear ratio, you're going to get less braking, you're going to get slightly less acceleration, but you're going to get more top end. That, to me anyway, translates to a car that is going to start more smoothly. It's not going to brake as hard, so when you let off of the trigger, the car is going to slow down more smoothly and not come to a complete kind of grinding jittery stop. And then you're going to be able to get into more of a flow driving the car. Again, that's just for me personally. So a higher gear ratio, meaning you're going to, it's like what drag racing uses. So you want to go to, you get a really, really high gear ratio, and it gives you more braking, gives you more acceleration. It's more that bottom end kind of grunt. And then a lot less top speed, because you're going to max out on the straightaway really fast, because you're looking for more immediate acceleration. So if you change those two kind of things around, that's one of the things you can experiment with when you get like one of the basic kind of setups, whether it's an inline, whether it's a sidewinder or an angle winder. You can change those variables in addition to the balance that each one of these inherently has, because there's different balance that also comes with having a different motor configuration. So an inline, it's kind of the basic one. There's the basic configuration. There's a certain balance feel that you get with an inline that you definitely don't have with a sidewinder, and you certainly don't have with an angle winder. A lot of these are personal, so there's no way for anyone to tell you that one of these is better than the other. I mean, it's whether they can drive them faster. Does that make them better? Well, it makes them better for them. So again, it's something that you should experiment with. And, if you really want to just experiment with the chassis, because it's kind of easier maybe to break the car down into parts. You have the body interacting with the chassis, whether the body has float or not, how flexible the body is, and then you have the chassis and all the dynamics going on there, like how the motor, when the motor accelerates, if there's like a torque snap to the motor, which happens definitely a lot more on an inline, when the motor gives full power, the car will, and you can see this when you have power on these cars, this will twist an awful lot more if you're holding it up in the air, just because of the natural balance of the car. An inline or a sidewinder and an angle winder don't do that as much, because the center of gravity, the twist, everything is completely different when you go from each one of these. All right, hope you can hear me. Here we are back on teeny tiny test track, or as I probably should call it, the skid pad. I wanted to show you kind of what I'm talking about with the twist, with the balance of the car. So this may not be something that people feel is crucial, but I kind of think it's important. So what I'm talking about is this. See, when you accelerate, you're getting this twist of the car. Now, somehow I think this translates into the car, into the balance of the car itself, even if the car is, well, that's not really very smooth. Oh, well, it's not really set up. So, I think this inherent twist in the car is, there's something to this. And if you're fighting against this, it may be something that you're going to lose in that battle. Here, let me adjust this just a little more. There we go. So here's the sidewinder, and what you'll see is, as I give it throttle, there's none of that twist. There's none of the inherent imbalance, I guess you'd say, in the design. Does this matter? Well, it may matter to you. It's certainly there. It's definitely, I mean, it's like really, really obvious. And with the sidewinder, it's just non-existent as far as I'm concerned. Does that mean you're going to get a smoother car? Well, it might. So that's why it suggests, if you're tuning a car, take the body off, tune the chassis up a little bit, test the car, see how much if the lap time's dropped, and just kind of break the car down into the parts, the body, and then try the chassis, or take the body off and then test with the chassis rather. So not really anything terribly specific today, but just kind of general, because I know it got me thinking today when I was talking with Ray about, because he's new to the hobby, and I've been getting a lot of questions from people emailing me, which is cool, about my opinions about which layout of motor works best, which kind of tire works best. There's no real way to answer best. It's what you feel most comfortable with when you're driving and when you're tuning, and what you can get the most out of. I've said this a million times, but it's absolutely true. Anyway, thanks, folks. I'll be doing more videos soon. I want to thank Steve and the guys at Slot Corner for giving me got the Predator banner up, and I got a new display, or a new storage right behind my desk here, and it gave me the place to put up the banner there. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. See you all again soon.